Hello, this is Mark. Video number 5. Okay, so, I've been thinking about it for a day or so of exactly what I want my board to do. And I kind of think I know what I want. I want to, let's see. I did a project in the past. And this one is clear back from this is 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. And what I liked about this one, and I want to update it, what I liked about it is I can take a breadboard and I can take this design and I can plug it in like this. And then I can connect it to USB. And this is the old micro USB. I want to do a new one, which is going to be USB-C. And then I've got all my pins down here, and I have them labeled as to what they do. So when I'm doing a project, these are demonstration boards or just, playing around, and I want to connect it to something else. I frequently just use a breadboard like this and for these type of designs. So what I want to do is I want to kind of expand on this. I want to make this quite a bit longer. And maybe even shorten the board down a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. And then so it's going to change the layout and everything. But that's kind of what I want to go for. And then on those pins, most of them, I actually made a list. I created this file so I could make sure that I get pins doing what I want them to do. And this particular one, this is for the RP2040, and this is the GPIO 0 is on pin 2, and here's the other functions it can do. It can be it can be a UART, the transmit side, but not the receive side. So, you kind of have to keep track of what's what. And it can be I2C of SDA and SCL, and then there's a separate I2C interface here on pins 2 and 3. And let me go back to I'm going to put that on the side a moment. Let me get the board back up here. Schematic. Okay, so here's all my GPIO lines. And what I think I want to do is I want to take basically kind of these in order. And there's a couple of things I do want to do on this one that it's similar to past designs. For a lot of these things, I don't have to do anything fancy. I can just run them to the pin and that'll be fine. The one that's kind of odd is the I2C. So the I2C interface, those need a pull-up resistor, 4.7K to the 3.3 line. And so I can come back on this thing and I can say, well, I've already put an LED on this line. This is from a past design, but I may just go ahead and use it again, some of it, and I'll just edit it as I see fit. So I had 2 LEDs. Let's go ahead and add a second LED, and then I'm going to make the GPIO2 and GPIO3. I wanted those to be the I2C, and it's going to be I2C1, SDA, and SCL. Okay, so we'll do that. These don't matter anymore, so this is, as I said, this is from a previous design. So I can get these out of here. I'm not going to do an IRDA interface again on this. And I probably won't do the buttons either, but, I may change my mind before I get to the end of this drawing. Okay, so let me go back to this. I still want a second LED, so piece of cake for that. I just want to copy everything that's here. And so I'm going to just copy those. I'm going to duplicate. Oh, come on now. Select it properly. Duplicate. And we're just going to put it slightly over so the labels don't clash. And I'm going to duplicate this one. It needs to be in line. And I just need to be over so I don't mess up that G&D label. And I do need the G&D also. I know I could do it with a trace, but I'm just going to do it this way for the moment. And we may have to run things around. So, okay, those are 3 lines. Let me just add them in. Okay, so that's the easy part. Now the next two are the I squared lines, the I squared C. So GPIO 2 and 3 are going to be I squared C, and it's the SDA and SCL line, and it's going to be the only one. So I'm not going to say SDL 1 or 2 or anything like that. So I just need labels on those because we might move things around. So let me just go ahead and make a label. And I'm going to call this, let's see, SDA. And I'm going to just put it right, let me just put it right there. So make sure I got what I want. Okay, SDA is on GPIO 2, which is on pin 4. Okay, GPIO pin 4 SDA. Okay, that's good. Now I want the SCL line on the next one down. So I can do this and SCL, and I can put that one on the right below it. I'm already in kind of a little bit of a trouble here. I need those to have pull-up resistors. Let me zoom out and add the 4.7K pull-up resistors. So let me, I like things to look nice. So maybe I should move some things around here. Let me just do that. I'm just put the cursor on a trace and I hit the D key and it deletes it. And I'm going to delete that and that one. And I'm going to leave that in the right spot at the moment because I was going to compress this together. Let me just move this out of the way for the moment. And I'm going to move this label. Actually, I want to move this one over. And move this one over. I like my boards to look really nice. Now, let me move this one over. Okay. And now let me move this resistor up just so it clears. And I'm going to move this guy also. Now the labels are in a really bad spot right now, so let me move those. Okay, that's the LED. The symbol shows LED. That's not going to confuse me. And saying LED doesn't give me any real information. So I can put my cursor on this, and I can hit the E key, and I can name it to something else. But there's also a little box here that says visible. If I just click that, it goes away. Now, I still need the D3 because that's useful information. Let me just move the D3. But now I've just got, it takes up much less room on the board. This D2, let me move that down the same spot. And again, with this one, I'm just going to remove it. So now I can come back here and I can delete that off. Okay, let me move this ground trace to some place that makes more sense. I'm going to move the ground label to the other side so I can just move this over a little bit. We're going to do it like this. And I'm making it in line so I can hit the trace like that. Like that. And let me fix in the rest of it here. Okay, so that doesn't take up nearly as much space as it did before. Now I need those 4.7K pull-up resistors on this on the SDL and SDA lines. Okay, so let me move these on over. And I do want to put a trace on them. Well, let me not put the trace yet. Let me make sure I can put things where I want them. I need a resistor. Let me just duplicate this one. I'm going to rotate it. And I need it over far enough, and I need the value to be 4.7K. So I put the cursor on the 1K, hit the E key, and say 4.7K. And it looks pretty good label-wise. Let me duplicate that one now. And I'm going to put it like that. You know, if I rotate this, that'll put the label on the other side. Okay, so I can put them really close. You know, they're related. I can put them close. And let me move this one over one more notch over. Now I can come back here and draw this trace like I wanted. And they're both just pull-up resistors to 3.3 volts. So I can just do it like this. Now I still need the 3.3. There's the 3.3. Let me just duplicate that. Okay. Now, that all looks fine and dandy. Let's see. I think there's a fast way of putting a bunch of labels on things. So, I'm going back to my list here. So I was thinking earlier that I wanted, on this kind of data bus thing I'm creating, I want a ground, I want a 3.3, I want the I2C lines, I want SPI lines, a bunch of GPIO, and I want to make sure that I include the A to D converter lines in case I want to use the A to D converter. And, you know, I might want to use the SysV. That's the 5 volts directly off of the USB connector without the diode. If I run it through the diode, there's some pros and cons to that. If you run it after the diode, if you're only ever powering it from the USB connector, the diode's not even that necessary. But if you ever want to power the board from something else, then you kind of want the diode to prevent feeding power back into your computer. So this is kind of what I came up with in terms of the order of things. And I may want to change them, but you know, this is what I'm going to go with to beginning. I want a 14-pin connector. So let me change this back down here. Let me add a 14-pin connector. Connector generic 1x14 looks like that. And you know, I might move these pins around a little bit, so I'm going to actually leave this thing over here a little bit. And, you know, I made my list of which way I want to do things. So I want the SysV to be first, the ground, the 3.3. Okay, so SysV, I don't even have a tag on it. So, but that's this thing. Now, if I just move this diode down, I can put another label on there. So let me just take this, and if I put the cursor on it, hit the G key, it allows me to move it and keep the traces connected. I mean, the other way is you can just move it and then fix the traces too. And now I want the SysV that kind of looks like a power pin. So let's see what we got here. If I go to here, I get to label it whatever I want. But it's got all sorts of stuff here. I don't know if I like any of them. Let me just create a label. Let's do it. Cancel that. Let me just put a label on it. The reality is there's not that much difference in terms of okay, let me just do this. I'm going to put it there, and then I'm going to fix this other thing. Okay. Now this receptacle thing is in my way a little bit. Let me move that. In fact, we're going to say move. And I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to put it over here. Because I don't like things on top of each other. It kind of clutters my schematic up. Okay, so now I've got a SysV. let me duplicate this. And I've got that pan on move thing. And I wanted this on the first pin. So let me just stick it right on the first pin. Okay. So that's what I wanted. SysV on first pin, and that's what we got. Okay. Next pin, ground. Okay. I had an extra one. Oh, there it is. Let me just grab this. Move. Oh, come on now. Sometimes if it doesn't do it, just hit the escape key a couple times, and that kind of clears things up to... Oh, it's still thinking I'm in the other editor. Okay. And we'll put it out here, and that'll be obvious why in a moment. Okay, so there's those two. Ground 3.3 next. Okay. And if I short the SysV to ground, that's going to pull a lot of current. Everything's going to get really unhappy fast. But it probably won't blow up things. If I short SysV to 3.3 volts, that's going to be a problem. So that's why I put the ground next to the... That's why I put the ground next to it here. No, come on now. I don't want to do that. Let me duplicate. Okay. If I rotate that, how that'll look. You know, that may not be too bad. Now, can I take the label and rotate it? Okay. I'm trying to make things look nice. That's kind of my goal there. Okay. Okay, pin 4, I was thinking that's the SDA and SCL lines. And conveniently, they're right there. So if I duplicate, I said 4 was SD8. SCL on 5. Then I want an SPI, Mosey, Meso, and a clock. Let me see, what pins do we need for that? I don't know which pins I need for that. Oh, here we go. So SPI 0, we got RX, see the TX, I'm going to look at, let me, you know, I'm at 18 minutes. So let me go ahead and, fix this and figure out which pins for sure that I want for the these will be the SPI lines. I just want to make sure that whichever pins I pick and put on there, they can be the SPI lines. So I'm going to pause the video here, and then we'll see you in video number 6.